wonder what happens to the piece of trash you throw in the garbage? In our house, recycling is a way of life. A piece of trash can go into a recycle bin or a garbage bin. So let's say I drink a Diet Coke. That aluminum can takes a lot of energy to make, such as mining, smelting, transporting, then made into aluminum cans again. It then gets shipped to the beverage company, loaded with soda, and transported to my grocer. After drinking my soda, it will begin one of two very long journeys, depending on a simple flick of a wrist. The content of a recycling bin goes to a warehouse, gets sorted, then gets reused and remade into other things, saving energy and resources in the process. The non-recycled materials gets compacted, loaded on trucks, then hauled to a landfill over many miles away by train. Transferred to trucks again, dumped into a landfill, gets buried by dirt with bulldozers where it will take years to decompose. For the aluminum can, it may take decades for it to return to the earth. It takes energy and transportation, all to quench my thirst and a pleasure for a few minutes. There has to be a better way, and there is. Recycling, and it is easy as a flick of a wrist. So now a brief history. Recycling is not a new idea. It has been a common practice for most of human history. Recycling is a virtue that has been appreciated for centuries, with recorded advocates such as that place far back as Plato in 400 BC. For thousands of years, melting has recycled metal items and reforming them into new weapons or tools. During the Industrial Revolution, recyclers began to form businesses and later trade associations dealing in the collection, trade, and processing of metals and papers. America's Institute of Scrap Recycling Industries is a trade association with more than 1,400 member companies, traces its roots back into an organization founded in 1913. In 1930s, many people survived the Great Depression by peddling scraps of metal, rags, and other items. In these days, reuse and recycling was an economic necessity. Recycling also played an important role during the Second World War, when scrap metal was recycled and turned into ships, planes, and weapons. Looks like we did well in the past. How are we doing now? In 2003, Germany recycles 85% of glass and 75% of paper, while in the US only recycles 45% of glass and 25% of paper. Clearly we have a lot of catching up to do. In Europe and Japan, they have initiated a take-back law that requires electronic manufacturers to recycle their product. In America, only a handful of states have passed this legislation. Much recyclable material can be processed locally, but ever more is being shipped to developing nations, especially China. With its hunger for resources and the availability of cheap labor, China has become the largest importer of recyclable material in the world. We generate a large amount of these materials. We sure could use the jobs to process them here in the U.S. We also have a large appetite for raw material, including scrap metals, waste paper, and plastics, all which can be cheaper than virgin materials. What happens to the stuff in the recycle bin? Let's sort it out. Most curbside programs ask people to put paper, glass into separate bins, as we see here. Now the trend is toward commingled or single-stream collection, according to Kate Krebs. She's an executive director of America's National Recycling Coalition. states about 700 of America's 10,000 curbside programs use this approach. Now, the switch may make people a bit suspicious. If there is no longer a need to separate different material, people can conclude that the waste is being buried or burned. Single stream collection makes it more convenient for households to recycle, and it means that more materials are diverted from the waste stream. In fact, single stream collection is being driven by new technologies that can identify a sort of various materials with little or no human intervention. In San Francisco, changed from multi to single stream collection a few years ago, and now boasts a recycle rate of 75%, which is the highest in America. The $38 million plant opened in 2003 and is operated by NorCal Waste Systems. It processes an average of 750 tons of paper, plastic, glass, and metal a day. The process begins when a truck arrives and dumps the load of recyclables. The materials are then piled onto a large conveyor belt, transporting them to a manual sorting station. There, the workers sift through everything, taking out plastic bags, large pieces of cardboard, and other items that could damage or obstruct the sorting machines. Plastic bags are especially troublesome as they tend to get caught in the spinning disc screens. Corrugated cardboard is separated from mixed paper, both of which are then baled and sold. A magnet pulls out any ferrous metals, like tin-plated or steel cans. Mostly aluminum cans are ejected by eddy current, which means eddy current is a separator that consists of a rapidly revolving magnet rotor inside a long cylindrical drum that rotates at a slower speed. Finally, the glass is separated by hand into amber, clear, brown, and green glass for each load, and the entire sorting process takes about an hour, according to the NorCal's recycling program manager for San Francisco. So what good does recycling really do? Most of us are aware of the environmental benefits. These include reduction of the amount of waste that is sent to landfills and incinerators, conserves natural resources such as timber, water, and minerals, prevents pollution by reducing the amount that we collect for new raw materials. It saves energy, reduces gas emissions that contribute to global climate change, and helps sustain the environment for future generations. As for the economic benefits, California Green Economy Survey estimates that recycling workers make up 27% of the state's 433,000 green economy jobs. The survey also found that recycling and buying recycled products were the top sustainable business practices, according to an ABC report from 2011. It was concluded that the U.S. could create over 1 million new jobs simply by copying San Francisco's recycling program. Besides job creation, the study found a 75% recycling rate nationwide could reduce emissions by 276 metric tons over the next 20 years. That's like shutting down 72 coal-fired power plants. In summary, recycling has many benefits to our Mother Earth, our ecosystem, and our economy. And it is so easy. All it takes is a flick of a wrist.